Ladies and gentlemen, every single thought you think sends a signal to your body. Every emotion you feel becomes a chemical, and those chemicals flood every cell, every organ, every system. That means, at the most fundamental level, your biology is not separate from your psychology. Your body is constantly listening to your mind. Let me tell you a truth you might never have heard before. You are not sick because of bad luck, genetics, or some invisible hand of fate. You are not broken. You are not doomed. Most illness, most chronic pain, most dysfunction is the body simply memorizing a state of being that was first initiated by a thought and repeated so many times it became biology. Thoughts are the electrical language of the brain. Emotions are the chemical language of the body. When you think a thought, let's say, I'm not good enough, your brain sends a signal that triggers a feeling, maybe shame or fear. That feeling reinforces the thought, and the cycle continues until it's no longer something you're choosing. It's something you're becoming. Science has already shown us that the brain is not wired. It's not fixed, it's plastic, adaptable. Neuroplasticity means your brain can literally rewire itself based on your mental habits. And if the brain can change, the body can follow. Think about it. When you're in a state of stress, whether it's anxiety about the future, resentment from the past, or fear in the present, you are activating the same fight or flight mechanism that's designed for survival. Your heart rate increases. Your blood is rerouted away from growth and repair and directed toward survival. Your immune system, your digestion, your hormonal balance, all of it gets hijacked. And if that stress becomes your personality, your body begins to live in emergency mode 24/7. You age faster, you break down, you get sick. But if stress can damage, the opposite must also be true. If thoughts can harm, they can also heal. If fear can trigger inflammation, then love can spark regeneration. If resentment creates resistance in the body, then gratitude can release it. When you begin to think elevated thoughts of joy, appreciation, wholeness, compassion, you are changing your chemistry. You're flooding your system with dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. These aren't just happy hormones, they're healing hormones. They tell your body that it's safe to repair, to grow, to rejuvenate. Your immune cells get stronger. Your heart rhythms become coherent. Your brain begins to fire in entirely new patterns. This isn't wishful thinking. This is biology. This is measurable, observable science, and it all begins with awareness. You have to become conscious of your unconscious thoughts, because 90% of your thoughts today are the same as the ones you had yesterday. And if most of those thoughts are rooted in fear, guilt, frustration, or self-doubt, your body has no choice but to become a reflection of those emotional states. So the question is not whether you want to heal. The question is, are you willing to change the way you think? Are you willing to catch yourself mid-thought and say, that's not who I am anymore? Are you willing to step outside the story you've been telling yourself and become someone new, someone whole? Because the moment you choose a new thought, you interrupt the old signal to the body. The moment you replace a state of fear with one of curiosity, you shift your internal chemistry. That's the beginning of real healing, not just symptom relief, but transformation. Because the body doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. If you can teach your body to feel joy before the external situation changes, if you can embody peace before the test results come back clean, if you can think and feel like the version of you who's already healed, your biology has no choice but to follow that new blueprint. Your body is not your enemy, it's your ally. It's responding to you with perfect obedience, but it's waiting for a new signal, a new command. And that command begins with a thought. Healing doesn't happen in the past. It doesn't happen in the future. It happens here, in this space, in this moment. And the truth is, most people never actually live in the present. They live in memories of what was, or fears of what might be. They wake up, and the mind immediately downloads yesterday. The same worries, the same routines, the same limitations. The past becomes their future because they never stop to interrupt the loop. But the present moment is more than just a gap between the past and future. It's a portal. It's a place where infinite possibility exists. It's where you meet your true self, outside the noise, beyond the conditioning, untouched by time. The body, however, has become so used to the old patterns, so trained by trauma, routine, and emotion, that it automatically returns to familiar programs, and those programs keep you in survival, not in healing. When you constantly think about what happened to you, you relive the pain, and the body, chemically, emotionally, doesn't know the difference between the actual event and your memory of it. So every time you recall that betrayal, or that diagnosis, or that failure, you're reinforcing it. Not just mentally, but biologically. That's why people feel stuck. It's not that they can't move forward, it's that they haven't truly left the past behind. They may say they want change, but their attention, where they place their awareness, is still tied to what was. The key to breaking that cycle is presence, true presence, not just sitting still or meditating once a week, but learning to feel the present moment with your entire being. That's where healing begins, when your attention and energy are no longer leaking into past regrets or future anxieties, but gathered, centered, available. And when you can bring all of that energy into now, you are powerful. You become a creator instead of a victim. But being in the present moment is not easy at first. The body wants to pull you back. It's addicted to the familiar chemicals of stress, guilt, anger, or unworthiness. And so, even when the environment is safe, the body still lives in the emergency of yesterday. That's why transformation requires discipline. You have to become aware every time you drift into unconscious thinking. You have to catch yourself when your mind starts rehearsing pain, when your body starts reacting out of habit. That moment of awareness, right there is freedom, because it means you're no longer running the program. You're watching it, and what you observe you can change. Breath is one of the most powerful tools for anchoring into the present. When you focus on your breath, not just as a function, but as a sacred rhythm, you interrupt the mind's tendency to time travel. You become still, the nervous system calms, the heart rate stabilizes, your thoughts slow down, and suddenly you're here. Not the story, not the timeline, just here, in this breath, in this body, in this miracle of a moment that's never happened before. And when you live in that state long enough, you create space for something new to emerge. Because the subconscious can only be accessed through the present. You can't rewrite old patterns while you're busy predicting the future. You can't access higher intelligence while you're rehearsing lower emotions. You have to become the presence that allows the healing to unfold. Not force it, not chase it, just allow it, because the body already knows how to heal. The intelligence that made you is the same intelligence that can restore you, but you have to quiet the noise long enough to hear it. This moment, this exact space you're in, is the only place where change is possible. The past is memory, the future is imagination, but the present is creation. And when you step into it fully, with awareness, with intention, you are stepping into the unknown, and that's where the magic happens. Because in the unknown, you are no longer the personality tied to the story of your wounds. You are consciousness itself, choosing a new reality, choosing a new signal to send to your cells, choosing to let go of what no longer serves, and choosing to become someone your past never saw coming. Everything is energy. You are not just flesh and bone, not merely a body responding to a physical world. You are a field of frequency, a moving, vibrating system of consciousness, broadcasting signals into the quantum field every second of your life. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, they are not invisible wishes floating in your head. They are electric, they are magnetic, and they radiate beyond you, shaping your experience moment by moment. Your energy is the language your body speaks. It's the signal you send to life, and life, by its very design, reflects that signal back to you. So if your energy is constantly rooted in fear, stress, resentment, or lack, then your life will mirror those vibrations. You'll find yourself trapped in the same situations, surrounded by the same challenges, confirming the same story, because that's the broadcast you're sending out. But if you can change your energy, you change the signal. And if you change the signal, the field responds. This is not philosophy. This is physics. The heart emits an electromagnetic field that is measurable several feet beyond the body. The brain emits waves that can be altered by focus, meditation, and intention. When your thoughts are in alignment with elevated emotions, like gratitude, compassion, joy, or love, your energy becomes coherent, and coherent energy is healing energy. Coherence is order, and the body responds to order with regeneration. But most people live in a state of energetic chaos. Their brain is firing in survival mode. Their heart is racing, irregular, responding to old traumas and unconscious memories. And because their energy is disorganized, their life is disorganized. Their biology is disorganized. Healing doesn't happen in disorder. Creation doesn't happen in confusion. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being, and who you're being is determined by the energy you carry. So if you want to heal, if you want to change, you don't start by forcing the world around you to shift. You start by shifting your state. You start by observing your inner world. Where does your attention go when you're not paying attention? What emotional addictions keep pulling you back into the same cycles? What thoughts do you keep thinking that align with the old version of you? These questions aren't small. They are revolutionary, because awareness is the first step toward energetic mastery. When you become conscious of your energy, when you learn to regulate it, elevate it, embody it, you become a magnet for possibility. Suddenly, your body begins to respond differently. Cells regenerate, inflammation decreases, immunity improves, relationships shift, opportunities arise, not because the external world suddenly becomes easier, but because your internal state is no longer broadcasting survival. It's broadcasting expansion, wholeness, readiness, and the field mirrors that back to you. Raising your energy doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means creating a new one. It means choosing to feel elevated emotions even when your circumstances haven't changed yet. It means tapping into the power of your future self and bringing that frequency into now. Because your body doesn't know the difference between a real event and one vividly imagined. If you can feel whole, loved, abundant, and healed before the evidence shows up, you are training your body to trust a new destiny. Energy is the currency of the universe, and you're spending it with every thought, every reaction, every belief. So the question becomes, are you investing your energy in survival, or are you investing it in creation? Are you broadcasting lack, or radiating gratitude? Are you stuck in the emotion of who you were, or elevated into the frequency of who you're becoming? The moment you begin to master your energy, you begin to master your life. Because the external world is not separate from your internal world. They are reflections of each other. Your healing does not begin when the diagnosis disappears. It begins when the energy you carry is no longer rooted in the identity of sickness, fear, or limitation. It begins the moment you choose to embody the vibration of the healed version of yourself, regardless of what your current conditions say. Your brain is not fixed. It is not hardwired into patterns that can't be changed. It is plastic, malleable, and designed to evolve. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold leaves a trace in the architecture of your brain. The more you repeat a thought, the stronger the neural connection becomes, like carving a groove into the fabric of your consciousness. This is how habits are born. This is how personality forms. But it also means this: if a thought can be repeated into a pattern, it can also be rewired. And meditation is the master key. Meditation is not just about sitting in silence. It's not about controlling your thoughts or emptying your mind. It's about becoming conscious of what you've been unconscious of. It's about learning to separate from the noise, to become the observer of your mind rather than the servant of it, because most people live in reaction. Their thoughts are a loop. Their emotions are rehearsed. Their body is addicted to familiar states of stress or sadness. And so, even when they want to change, they find themselves pulled back into the same version of themselves over and over again. But when you meditate, you break that loop. You interrupt the program. You close your eyes to the outer world and turn your awareness inward, where the real work happens. You enter the space between thoughts, the space where new possibility lives. And in that stillness, in that spaciousness, you gain access to the subconscious mind, the part of you that's been running the show. That's where the healing begins. That's where the rewiring happens. In meditation, when you focus on elevated emotions like gratitude, love, compassion, or joy, you teach your body how to feel before the event occurs. You are no longer waiting for the external to shift your internal state. You are becoming the cause, not the effect. You begin to condition the body into a new mind, into a new emotional signature, and every time you do that, you're installing a new program. You're pruning away old neural connections and creating new ones. This is neuroplasticity in action. You are literally changing your brain just by changing your thoughts and emotions in the stillness of meditation. The beauty of meditation is that it takes you out of time. In that timeless space, you are no longer defined by your past, your identity, your circumstances, or your environment. You are pure awareness, free from limitation, free from labels, free from disease. And in that state of pure being, you are most suggestible. This is where you can plant the seeds of a new reality. This is where intention becomes transformation. Because when the mind is no longer busy analyzing the past or projecting into the future, it becomes present. And presence is power. Your brain operates in different wave states. In waking consciousness, you're in beta, alert, analytical, often stressed. But when you meditate, your brain shifts into alpha and theta states, which open the door to the subconscious. In these states, you can bypass the critical mind. You can access and reprogram the deep, hidden beliefs that have been running your life. You're no longer rehearsing what's wrong. You're rehearsing what's possible. You're wiring in new thoughts, rehearsing a new reality, practicing being someone you've never been. And as you do this consistently, your body begins to believe it. Your biology starts to match your vision. You are no longer waking up and feeling like the person with the problem. You are waking up and feeling like the person with the solution. Meditation becomes a rehearsal for the life you are creating. It becomes your sacred laboratory where you're not waiting for healing. You're embodying it. You're aligning your energy with the future you want to experience. And when the body and mind are aligned in this way, the field around you begins to respond. Not eventually, instantly, because you've changed the signal you're broadcasting. You're no longer sending out survival. You're sending out coherence, order, wholeness, elevated frequency, and the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. What once took effort becomes automatic. What once was unfamiliar becomes your new normal. You become the master of your internal world. And the external world, by the laws of energy and resonance, has no choice but to reflect that mastery right back to you. The future is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. Most people believe they have to wait for life to get better before they can feel better. They wait for healing before they feel whole, for success before they feel confident, for love before they feel worthy. But the truth is, your body, your brain, your reality, none of it waits. It all responds moment by moment to your internal state. And when you learn to feel the future before it happens, you begin to influence what shows up in your life. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real experience and one that's vividly imagined. If you've ever had a nightmare and woken up in a cold sweat, heart pounding, you've felt this truth. The mind created an image and the body believed it. The same principle applies to healing and transformation. When you imagine the future version of yourself, healthy, joyful, free, and you feel it in your body as if it's already real, you begin to signal new genes, release new chemicals, and set in motion the process of becoming. But to do this, you must break the habit of being your old self. You have to stop defining your future through the lens of your past, because the moment you say, "I've always been this way," or "it's just how things are for me," you are dragging yesterday's identity into tomorrow's potential. You are reinforcing the neural circuits, emotional addictions, and energetic signatures that match who you used to be, not who you're becoming. To believe in the future you before it arrives means you wake up and choose the thoughts that align with that future. You don't wait for the external world to give you proof. You become the proof. You think the thoughts of someone who is already healed. You feel the emotions of someone who already lives in freedom. You embody the confidence, gratitude, and joy of someone who has already crossed the bridge into their next chapter. You are no longer living by cause and effect. You are living by intention. This is not just mindset. It's biology. When you consistently think and feel in alignment with a new identity, your brain begins to rewire. You form new neural networks that match the person you're becoming. At the same time, your body begins to chemically respond to your new emotional state. You begin to condition it into a new future, not through willpower, but through repetition and emotion. And the stronger the emotion you feel, the more you anchor the new state in your body. That's why it's not enough to simply visualize. You must feel it. Emotion is the fuel. Emotion is the amplifier. If you want to attract a different experience, you have to raise your energy to match the frequency of that experience. The future is already written in the quantum field. All versions of you already exist. The one who's healed, the one who's abundant, the one who's fulfilled, they're already real in potential. But you'll only collapse that potential into your current reality when you become energetically equal to it. So ask yourself, how would I walk if I were already healed? How would I speak? How would I love? What would I expect? How would I carry myself if I no longer identified with the problem, the limitation, or the pain? And then become that version of yourself now, not later, not when circumstances change, but now. Because when you begin to live as if the future you is already here, you are sending a signal to your environment, to your body, and to the field that says, "This is who I am now." This process requires trust. It demands that you let go of needing to know how or when it will happen. You must surrender control, surrender timing, and surrender the identity that's been built around waiting. Healing, growth, and creation don't come from effort alone. They come from alignment. And alignment happens when thought, emotion, intention, and behavior all match the version of you that already exists in a higher potential. The moment you align with that version and stay there long enough, consistently enough, the field responds, not because you forced it, but because you became it.